It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. The convicted sex offender Hadush Kebatu tells Sky News police ignored him when he tried to hand himself in after his mistaken release.
Saturday, I get a police. Look here. Please, I am wanted man. I arrested. I will give you my hand. Please help him. Where is police station? He ignored me. He drive.
Kebatu spoke to us from Ethiopia, where he was deported overnight, 2 days after he was found and rearrested in London. Also ahead, Hurricane Melissa wreaks havoc across the Caribbean, leaving dozens dead and widespread devastation and power cuts. The fragility of the Gaza ceasefire, with claims of more than 100 killed in Israeli airstrikes on the territory. Second-class treatment, the first compensation scheme for victims of the flawed post office capture system, but there are claims of a two-tier scheme. Leave or be sacked. Anger at bosses who repeatedly fail to deal with an NHS surgeon accused of botching children's operations. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. Hadush Kebatu, the convicted sex offender who was mistakenly freed from prison last week, has told Sky News he tried to hand himself into police a day before he was arrested, but was ignored by officers. Kebatu was deported to his home country of Ethiopia last night, 4 days after officers at Chelmsford Prison released him in error instead of sending him to an immigration centre. He spent 2 days at large before being arrested in North London on Sunday morning. Kebatu was also repeatedly questioned on his appalling crimes, but Sky News has chosen not to broadcast the denials of a convicted sex offender in this interview. Our national correspondent Tom Parmenter reports.
As he climbed up the aircraft steps at Heathrow, convicted sex offender Hadush Kebatu was being kicked out of Britain. Sky News understands he'd just been paid £500 of government money, a payment the Home Office removals team made to speed up his deportation. When he landed in Ethiopia, he agreed to speak to Sky News. We asked him what happened when prison staff released him by mistake last Friday. For hours, he wandered around outside Chelmsford Prison, asking people where he should go.
Who can responsible for me? Where is Home Office? Where is the immigrant? I will tell them, but also all of the experts they are ignored me. And also, the time it should be fast. I am homeless. I am not eating. At that time, they are passed. Where is the station? Where is the train station? Someone helped me. I will take the ticket, £18.
On Saturday, we spoke exclusively to a delivery driver who witnessed what happened at the prison and spoke to Kebatu.
He walked out of the airlock. He then kept returning back to the airlock and basically saying to the officers there, where am I going? What am I doing? They basically were almost sending him away. It's like, go. You've been released. You go.
And so began a 48-hour manhunt stretching across London for a man convicted of sex offences against a 14-year-old girl, just days after he'd arrived on a small boat across the Channel. A case that prompted widespread protests. On Friday evening, after his release, still in his grey prison tracksuit, he was in a library in Dalston, East London. The following day, Kebatu claims he tried to hand himself in.
On the morning, Saturday, I get a police. Look here. Please, I am wanted man. I arrested. I will give you my hand. Please help him. Where is police station? He ignored me. He drive. But also, I am not unknown. The police station, where is the place? I am not Google it, but also I get the police. I will give you my hand. Please help me. Where is the police station? Take me. My name is Hadush Kebatu. I am national of Ethiopia. Please, I want the mistake release from Chelmsford Prison. Please help me.
He was eventually arrested after a member of the public spotted him in Finsbury Park, North London, the next day, on Sunday morning. Responding to Kebatu's claims, the The Metropolitan Police told Sky News the Met is not aware of any evidence to support the claims that Kibatu approached officers on Saturday morning. The actions of officers who responded to the sighting of him on Sunday morning show how seriously they were taking the manhunt. Kibatu's actions on the morning of his arrest were more like those of someone trying to avoid officers, not trying to hand himself in. They are two differing accounts within this deeply embarrassing episode for the government. On Sunday, the Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary David Lammy thanked the police officers who had arrested him. The Ministry of Justice has reiterated that it welcomes the deportation and have started a full investigation into what happened. Sky News has chosen not to broadcast other parts of Kibatu's interview. He's been removed from the country as a convicted sex offender. How the authorities managed that process is under huge scrutiny. Tom Parmenter, Sky News.
Hurricane Melissa has left dozens dead and caused widespread destruction after sweeping across Jamaica, Haiti and Cuba. At least 40 people have died in Haiti, with many killed after swollen rivers flooded and swept away homes. In Jamaica, landslides have blocked main roads, hampering rescue and recovery operations, while in Cuba, several 100,000 people remain in shelters. Well, this is where the storm is right now, having made landfall in Cuba today, where it's forced more than 700,000 people to evacuate their homes. Our correspondent Martha Kellner reports.
October 2025, the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. It has been devastating.
It's a date and a day nobody here will forget. The aftermath of the strongest hurricane to hit this island since records began. They lived through this. A reminder, as if anyone here needed it, of the might of a Category 5 storm. This is the main street in the community of Black River. Colourful homes, restaurants and bars all wrecked. Villages and towns contorted by winds stronger than anyone here has ever experienced. With many roads blocked, emergency services struggled to reach the worst affected areas, even with the help of Good Samaritans.
The conditions here are devastating. Catastrophic is a mild term based on what we are observing here.
Hurricane Melissa tore through the heart of this island. This region is known as Jamaica's breadbasket for its crop growing. It was still recovering from Hurricane Beryl, which caused widespread damage here last year. But this is far worse.
The roof just taken clean off there.
It's gone. Yeah, it peeled off.
Nikki's house was directly in the hurricane's path. She hunkered in the garage as it hit.
When it really started kicking, it was truly scary. The building was shaking, the windows were bowing in despite the shutters, the hurricane shutters. Water was coming in under the door, and it was just this most unearthly noise. It's not a howling. It's almost like an express train.
How difficult is the recovery going to be for some of these places?
Unimaginable. Jamaica has never had a storm of this intensity, this strength, and a lot of people didn't take it as seriously as they should have. It's just about as bad as it could have got.
A little bit of a waterfall in here right now.
Around 25,000 tourists are still stuck on the island. Most rode out the storm in hotels, some of which were also damaged. The challenge now is getting them out and aid in. This is one of the country's two major airports, a gateway to luxury resorts on the island's north coast. It won't be able to open for some time, but the other airport in the capital, Kingston, will resume flights soon. A message of resilience echoing across Jamaica.
Well, the fact of the matter is that this won't be the first and the last hurricane that we've experienced. We had a major Cat 4 37 years ago and one 37 years before that. So we've been experiencing this for decades, and we become more experienced and more resilient. And it's time now for the government and the world to come to the assistance, and let's get Jamaica back on track in the shortest possible time.
Families are still trapped in their homes in some of these communities, according to authorities. The Jamaican healthcare system is, they say, facing one of its most severe crises in recent memory. One hospital is out of commission on the island and 2 others strained. The US is sending urban rescue and disaster relief teams to the Caribbean. Finding any survivors and preventing the spread of disease here will be their first job. Martha Kellner, Sky News.
The Israeli military says it's carried out a fresh strike on Gaza, raising further concerns about the fragility of its ceasefire with Hamas. President Trump has backed Israel's right to hit back at Hamas, but Sir Keir Starmer has called for a de-escalation in the region after a wave of strikes killed at least 100 people in Gaza, many of them children. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons reports.
In Gaza, they are horribly accustomed to this. The desperate search for survivors in bombed-out buildings. This was Gaza City, one of the places where Israel vented its fury. It claims to have targeted senior Hamas figures. But here, amid the rubble, Sky News journalists were told that the victims included small children.
I don't understand who they're trying to kill here. 2 young girls, one only 3 years old, and a boy even younger. There's 1 man here and 2 teenagers. So really, who are they trying to kill?
The attack's retaliation after this soldier, Yonah Ephraim Feldbaum, was shot dead in Rafah. Hamas insists it wasn't involved in that attack, but the reprisals came anyway. And they were ferocious. The Gaza Health Ministry says 104 people were killed, nearly half of them children, with a further 250 injured. For those in Gaza, as the airstrikes came in, this didn't look or feel like a ceasefire.
We are not receiving any support from any country in the world, neither Arab nor Western. Don't you see? The Israelis are striking us constantly and no one is stopping them. You can see for yourselves, they bomb homes and kill innocent people, even those who have nothing to do with anything.
Israel's fury is also stoked by this, a video filmed by a military drone that appears to show Hamas operatives first burying the body of an Israeli hostage and then pretending to find those remains. A sign, says Israel, that Hamas is treating the ceasefire agreement with contempt.
Hamas can find our hostages' bodies, and we know this based on evidence and precise intelligence. It is evident, it is clear, and yesterday's drone video proves they are holding onto the remains of our hostages to pull stunts to prolong this.
Israel declared the ceasefire was back in action and then launched one more strike, saying there was an imminent threat of attack. So is this destruction a sign that the ceasefire is falling apart? No, according to the man who did so much to achieve it and whose name is closely aligned with the deal.
Hamas is a very small part of peace in the Middle East, and they have to behave. They're on the rough side, but they said they would be good, and if they're good, they're going to be happy, and if they're not good, they're going to be terminated.
The people of Gaza have suffered so much pain over the past 2 years, with more than 68,000 killed, that funerals are nothing new. Optimism is a rare sensation here, an emotion that blossomed but which suddenly, once again, feels out of place. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Jerusalem.
Well, the Prime Minister has refused to say whether he stands by Labour's pledge not to raise income tax, national insurance and VAT, as he was challenged about the contents of the forthcoming budget. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, accused ministers of doing even more damage to the economy than previously thought.
Labour promised not to increase income tax, not to increase national insurance and not to increase VAT. Does the Prime Minister still stand by his promises?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad that the Leader of the Opposition is now finally talking about the economy. I can update the House, Mr. Speaker. Retail sales are higher than expected. Inflation is lower than expected. Growth has been upgraded this year. And, Mr Speaker, the UK stock market is at an all-time high. The budget is on the 26th of November, and we will lay out our plans. But I can tell the House now that we will build a stronger economy, we will cut NHS waiting lists and deliver a better future for our country.
Let's go live to Westminster and our chief political correspondent, John Craig. John, what did you make of that exchange? I mean, notably, the Prime Minister there not confirming that he's not going to raise some of the taxes he said he wouldn't.
Well, Prime Minister's questions turned into a Halloween horror for Keir Starmer because Kemi Badenoch set him a trap and he walked right into it. That was her first question, and he heard him give the answer there about all the good things he claimed Labour had done. But then she came back with a question in which she said, I asked the exact same question back on the 9th of July. And at that point, when I asked you if you're going to raise income tax, VAT or national insurance, and you stand by the manifesto pledge, you said yes. So he's changed his position since then. And, of course, the Tories sense that the Prime Minister and the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, are about to perform a U-turn on tax and break their manifesto promises. The Prime Minister will be kicking himself that he allowed himself to be lured into that trap, because he really has set alight speculation of tax rises in the budget, which is 4 weeks today, 26th of November. There is speculation now, following Prime Minister's questions, that the Chancellor is considering a rise in income tax, a penny perhaps, or even 2p. That would be the first rise in income tax since the 1970s, since 1974 and 1975, when Dennis Healey raised income tax a couple of times. There's a famous phrase used about Healey, squeeze the rich until the pips squeak. It was wrongly attributed to him. What he actually said was talking about squeezing property speculators until the pips squeak. But the Tories will now keep up their attack and say that Rachel Reeves is planning 1970s-style tax increases. Now, of course, it could all be a bluff, and the Chancellor may come up with other ways to raise money, either some other tax rises not involved in the included in the pledge in the manifesto, or spending cuts. She has said, and the Prime Minister said, no return to austerity. But the Prime Minister and the Chancellor now are very much boxed in. They've got to find billions of pounds of savings, 20 billion, probably more. And now they, of course, are being hounded by the opposition into trying to saying what they're going to do on income tax, VAT and national insurance. So the PM got caught out today, and the Tories are going to be claiming from now on that there are tax rises on the way in the budget in 4 weeks' time.
Well, 4 more weeks of speculation until the budget at the end of November. John Craig, thank you. Now, the first ever compensation scheme has been launched for the victims of the Post Office capture scandal. Capture came before the infamous Horizon system and was used in branches between 1992 and 2000, creating shortfalls in accounts. It led to hundreds of wrongful theft convictions. The government says anyone affected can now apply for redress, and those found to be eligible could receive payments of up to £300,000. Sky's Adele Robinson reports.
Official recognition that an injustice was done.
More than 3 decades since lives were destroyed in the Capture IT scandal.
Ended up being bankrupt, criminal record. We lost everything we possessed.
And the first official redress scheme for Post Office victims is launched.
I hope they will see that this scheme treats them with a bit more dignity and a bit more urgency.
But it hasn't landed well. Many victims say it's unfair compared to Horizon compensation schemes.
It's a 2-tier system, one law for the Horizon victims, totally different law for us capture victims, and that's not really fair.
Steve Marston critical of how it will award payments between £10,000 and £300,000, with only exceptional cases paid more.
I want to see it in black and white, what they consider exceptional circumstances, rather than just a vague statement to that effect.
Postmasters used capture software which caused accounting shortfalls in their branches in the 90s, before the Horizon scandal. They want equality with all victims.
The banding seems fairly arbitrary, and it doesn't seem to reflect the full scope of what some people will have suffered.
Chris's mum Liz went to jail. His dad Bill ran the post office. Both are now gone. But Chris can apply to the redress scheme, along with the first 150 victims testing it out.
I'd hate us to get to the point where this scheme's come out and we go through these 150 cases and then it's further developed and half the people it would apply to are gone. We will lose people before, they can see justice. And I think that's a terrible tragedy.
In an exclusive interview with Sky News, the Post Office Minister says he does understand why trust is so low.
Why should victims trust this process that's been put into place after seeing the Horizon schemes dogged by delays and red tape?
Well, postmasters are right to have low levels of trust in the state because they've been treated appallingly by the state. But what we've done with this scheme is to try to learn some of those lessons for where previous compensation schemes for postmasters didn't work. So we're collecting more evidence from the beginning to try to speed things up.
Can you personally guarantee speedy redress then for the capture victims?
Absolutely, that's what we are doing today, is to make sure that we have a scheme that gives people redress as quickly as possible.
While the money set aside for victims is uncapped, those with convictions can't yet apply. The real test now for government is whether redress comes swiftly and fairly for all. Adele Robinson, Sky News.
The families of children who were treated by a surgeon at Adam Brooks Hospital in Cambridge say senior managers should leave or be sacked. Kuldeep's store is accused of botching operations, and 800 of her patients are now having their cases reviewed. An independent report has now revealed 32 opportunities to take action against the surgeon were missed. Trust bosses say changes are being made to prevent anything like it happening again. Here's our health correspondent, Laura Bundock.
This is on the link.
But they said... This is the moment they've waited for. But for families, it's a difficult read. The report into a suspended surgeon at Adam Brooks Hospital in Cambridge finds missed opportunities and multiple failings that created a prolonged risk to patients.
She would have never operated back then on Tammy if the hospital had done something. It feels like they've rather protect their reputation and the face of the hospital and protect their job than put my child first.
Lynn's daughter Tammy was operated on by Kuldeep Store, a specialist children's orthopaedic consultant. But senior managers knew there were issues with her surgeries years ago. They were flagged in a 2016 report, but the hospital did nothing. I feel angry, let down, sad. Me, my mum and my whole family knew there was something wrong, but not this bad. Hundreds of patients, including Tammy, were put at risk. And this report highlights wider issues. Staff told investigators Adam Brooks' global reputation creates a culture of cover-up.
I don't trust this report.
Lynn says senior leaders, including the chief executive, should go.
Either leave or be sacked, because I will not rest until him and the rest of the board have gone. Because I can't put my trust and faith in that hospital when it comes down to my child.
How is it possible, though, that that report was written, made those findings, made those recommendations, and yet senior managers here, your managers, didn't do anything about it?
How concerns are raised and acted on is an area we've got to tackle. Another piece for us is how we support doctors when they join the hospital, but also how we manage them when things aren't going well. We have to tackle medical culture, and we have to handle investigations and how they're acted upon much better than we have done.
Families tell us they feel there has been no accountability. They want you to resign. Will you?
No, I will not. This is a question that a chief executive always considers when something goes wrong in the organisation. And as a chief executive, it's something I would discuss and have with my chairman, with the non-executive directors. What we have here is a very comprehensive plan that we need to lean into hard over the next 3, 6 and 12 months so we can deliver the changes that we need.
Ms. Storr isn't commenting but remains suspended. Families remain frustrated, questioning how can a culture change when those at the top stay the same. Laura Bundock, Sky News in Cambridge.
A man has been charged with murder and attempted murder over a triple stabbing in West London on Monday. 49-year-old Wayne Broadhurst died at the scene and 2 others were seriously injured, including a 14-year-old boy. Police have described the attack as a senseless act of violence. A man who came to the UK on a small boat last year and later stabbed a man to death in Derby has been sentenced to a minimum of 25 years in jail. Haibe Noor stabbed Gurvinder Singh Johal at a Lloyds Bank branch in May. The Somali national, who was refused asylum, called a helpline before the killing, saying that he was going to kill 500 people. French prosecutors say 2 suspects arrested over a jewelry heist at the Louvre in Paris have partially confessed to their involvement. The 2 men are believed to be the pair who broke into the world-famous museum in broad daylight earlier this month, stealing 9 items from the crown jewels collection. 2 accomplices remain at large, and the jewels have yet to be recovered. Donald Trump says a trade deal has been reached with South Korea after a meeting with the country's president. The U.S. president is on a tour of Asia, with further trade talks expected with the Chinese president Xi Jinping tomorrow. Our Asia correspondent Helen Ann Smith reports now from South Korea.
The last stop on Trump's Asia tour, and the South Koreans were not to be outdone. YMCA on the runway. Formality, flattery, and ego-stroking gifts.
I'd like to wear it right now.
This is Korea's highest honour, in recognition, they say, of his efforts to bring peace to this peninsula.
Thank you very much, everybody.
But the reality is Trump and his tariffs have wrought havoc here. This meeting aimed to work out a deal. So much of this region relies on US protection. There's a sense it now comes at a cost.
Thank you very much. Economic security is, in fact, national security. I made the case that the global trading system was broken and in urgent need of reform, had to be fixed. The system had been exploited by countries that broke the rules at the expense of countries that followed the rules to a T.
There are no prizes for guessing who he was talking about and which other leader the world will be watching.
For all of Trump's gravitas, for all of his sway in this region, his agenda this week has been influenced by another great power, another unignorable presence. And that, of course, is China. Managing that geopolitical relationship is far more complicated than anything else he's done this week, and it is the real metric of success.
Indeed, his trade war with China is the context that underpins everything. Trump and Xi will sit down on Thursday, the aim to regain some stability.
So would you say that this is one of the most advanced robots in China right now?
I can see that, yeah.
So it's pretty special?
Yes, it's pretty special.
This is exactly the sort of Chinese industry that Trump has tried to restrain with controls of high-end chips. But he has not been very successful in the face of Chinese innovation. At this firm in Beijing, they say there is a renewed confidence in China, in the fact it can go it alone.
America's controls on certain chips are making Chinese chip manufacturers strive to achieve full domestic production for the robotics industry. I find the pace of technological innovation in this industry remarkably swift. It's exciting.
There is still significant anger here about Trump and the way he does business. A deal with China might benefit Asia, but it leaves a bitter taste too.
I think he maintains a moderate relationship with stronger countries like China, but makes unreasonable demands on countries like Japan and South Korea, which he has always called allies.
Many countries have little choice but to concede to his will. China will not be one of them. Helen Ann Smith, Sky News in Gyeongju, South Korea.
And that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the political commentator Adam Bolton and the former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Baroness Arlene Foster. Welcome both. And among the stories we will be discussing, this on the front of the Telegraph. The headline, Reeves eyes 2p income tax rise. We'll be right back.